What is the simplest way to stay sober? We're talking about discomfort. We're talking about ease or facility. You know, how easy something is. How easy something is pretty subjective, I think. The discomfort when you're trying to break habits, when you're trying to build habits, there's always going to be some form of discomfort there. There's always going to be discomfort associated with change, and the bigger the change, the more discomfort. But again, it's subjective. It depends on you, depends on your context, and it depends on your mind and whether or not you're going to turn up that fucking discomfort or turn it down. Now, one of the biggest things that you're going to have to take into account is the inner game, your inner game. Whether you're going to fight this or whether you're going to run away from this, fight or flight. Whether you're going to stand and face up to whatever happens, regardless of what happens, or whether you're going to turn and run as soon as things start to get tough for you. 95% of this journey, more, depends on what you think. 5%, 4% depends on what you do. You can be running around like a headless chicken if you don't get things sorted out in your head. If you haven't got an idea of where you're going, if you haven't got an idea of what you're doing, then you're like a boat without a tiller. You're just going to keep going around and round in circles. You're not going to really get anywhere. So the only thing to fear, I think, is not fear itself, but yourself. It's the stories that you tell yourself in your mind. You can take a perfectly good journey into your own future and turn it into shit just because you tell yourself shit stories. So kill your excuses, face your fears, stop doubting yourself, and just think about the fact that stopping drinking alcohol is easy. Believe me, I've gone through this so many different times now with different people, myself included. And the stopping drinking alcohol part is the easiest part that you can imagine. There's plenty of people that are going to try and convince you that stopping drinking alcohol is hard. But it's not really. All you have to do is step across that line into day one and stop putting the alcohol into your mouth. And it's as simple as that. Now, when we're talking about the habit, that's a different thing. Breaking down this habit is one thing. Creating new habits all depends on the person that you want to be, what habits you want to create in your life, who you want to be, what your values are, what your principles are, what kind of a life you want to live. What does the best possible version of yourself look like? What does the best possible version of your life look like? Because that's the thing that's going to really determine what habits you create after you've got rid of this habit. Think about it from the perspective of nature doesn't like a vacuum. So you can't just break a habit and leave it empty. You've got to fill it with something else. So that's the idea, is to think about the good habits that you want in your life that are going to pull you forwards towards that best possible version of yourself. That's where it all happens. Now, if you don't know how to do these things, then learn, and learn quickly. There's plenty of things that you can do to gain new knowledge for yourself, but it often depends on how much you want to put into it, how much you want to put into yourself, how much is your life worth. It's easy to excuse not enough effort, not putting enough effort into these things, because your brain is wired for that. Your brain is wired for expediency. So you have to push yourself outside of that and say, look, I'm going to push myself with this because this is so important. This is the foundation for everything else that is going to happen. If you want a beginner's course, we've got one down below. It's absolutely free. Just click on the link, go over, fill in your name, and you'll get instant access to it. So how long does it take to get to alcohol freedom, let's say, to the place where you don't think about alcohol anymore, where you don't give a shit about that old lifestyle, where you're moving forwards to the new lifestyle? As long as it takes. How long is a piece of string? Everybody is different. The last thing you want to think about in this sense is the instant gratification, the shortcuts. We want to avoid those at all costs, because they're the things that got you into trouble in the first place, and they are the things that are going to get you into trouble time and time and time again. And it's something that I've learned just through experience and through failing. You learn much more through your failures than you do your successes. Since I stopped drinking alcohol, when I was drinking, let's put it like this, it was one step forwards, two steps back. That was the general flow of my life, right? Because of the alcohol, because you can't drink to the extent that I was drinking and get up every day with a hangover or just a fuzzy feeling in your head and not achieve the things that you want to achieve in your life, you're always going to be on the back foot. Now, moving forwards, stopping drinking alcohol, that step by step has been a progress for me, you know. So when I take a step, it sticks. When I take another step, it sticks. Another step, it sticks. So you've got a continuous momentum moving forwards. Now, it doesn't mean to say that every step sticks. You're going to have some failures on the way. You're going to have times in your life when you have to take a step backwards to reassess what you're doing, figure out what went wrong, and then move forwards. But it's in those times that you really learn something about yourself and you learn something about your journey. If you're taking shortcuts, you shortcut that process. That's the big problem. You only get out of life what you put into it. The rewards that you get, the rewards that you can pull out of life, are directly proportional to the effort that you put into it. End of story. You know, unless you've got the look of whatever, you know, unless you've got the best look in the world. So just think long and hard about this. You know, think about it. Put the effort into thinking about this like your life depends on it. Now, if you're looking for motivation, you know, one of the things that I found, especially when I was drinking or starting out, was to find that motivation to move forwards, to step across that line and stop drinking alcohol. So if you're looking for that motivation, watch this video next. Take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you again onwards and upwards. Bye now.